So first order of business, why don't we tend to the minutes?
Make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
Okay.
Wow. Any discussion? Great job, Tara. I thought they were perfect. Hearing no discussion. Was there a second to that?
Yeah, Michelle did.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Okay, next order of business. Continued discussion, follow-up of previous discussion regarding in-person meetings versus remote meetings. So let me just kind of spend just a minute to get everybody up so we're on the same page. Everybody, I think, will recall, I should know the dates, but I don't. A couple of meetings ago, I scheduled an in-person executive session meeting that we anticipated going into executive session. There was questions about why I did that. At our last meeting on the 14th, we discussed that in great detail. As a result of that meeting, there was a motion made and unanimously voted on to discuss this with Mr. Steiner, because he was pretty much the focus of the discussion. So let me just say one more thing before we get there. We also at our last meeting agreed that we were going to kind of revert back to Robert's rules, people being recognized, acknowledged, not speaking out of turn again because of what happened a couple of meetings ago. So I would request that we all do that. Franz, you weren't here when we discussed that, so I think you understand what,
Yeah, I was in Virginia.
okay.
Yep.
But you understand what we're requesting there. So, that being said, I open the floor for discussion on, continued discussion on the issue of what started as executive session in person versus electronic, and some of the questions that came up as a result of what we looked at our last meeting.
So,
I think through the chair, I'm all set. I did some checking and I'm fine with what we talked about last time.
Okay?
Are we gonna have, has anybody had a talk with Mr. Steiner?
No.
I feel that,
This is the place for that to happen.
I feel that we should let him know what it was about. I don't know if he saw it or, you know, the Zoom or whatever, or looked at the meeting. It was recorded,
Yes.
I take it. But I do feel that Mr. Steiner should know what we saw, what we had mentioned. And
Go ahead. Tell him what you saw that concerned you.
the biggest thing, I think, did not know who your audience was with you, or your participants with you. I felt, you know, like they were hiding from us, and I'd rather have seen them out in the open, or knowing that they were there. And I think the biggest thing that kind of bothered me in a way, especially nowadays where we're getting uppity, this Robert rules and not being, you know, casual, you might say.
Well, can I just
And
interject?
it's the fact of there were 3 selectmen being there, and was it posted?
Yeah, let me just, I want to make one comment on your uppity Robert's rules. I don't want anybody to think that, you know, I want to run an uppity meeting. I just, as far as I'm concerned, the meeting 2 or 3 meetings ago got way out of control. Shame on me, I let it happen. I should have done something about it. And to me, the best way to at least bring everybody back to kind of a baseline is start that way. If we can evolve back to where we were before, I'd much rather run meetings that way, trust me. To have me have to address everybody is, I don't, you folks know me, you've worked with me enough, I'd much rather not do that. Go ahead, Tim.
Mike, I did some checking about, which something I didn't know when I checked in the last couple of weeks. You can have the entire select board or planning board or whatever at a meeting, as long as they don't discuss or, kibitz about between themselves about any topics in the meeting. They can participate in the meeting, and they don't have to post it by open meeting law, as long as they're not participating between themselves in topics. That's what my understanding.
Well, no, I have no comment there. I'm not sure what the relevance of that is to our discussion. We never discussed the fact that it didn't have anything to do with the selectmen. Our concern was with Mr. Steiner.
Well, part of some of the discussion that came up in that last week's meeting was there open meeting violations by
It was
having
a
three
question of
selectmen?
that,
Yeah, it was a
correct.
question. And that's all I want to do is put that information out there, that I found that out, that it's not a relevant open meeting violation.
And
That's
it's
it.
not relevant to us anyway. It's for
Yeah.
them to determine.
Correct. I just
their
want to put
own-
that out there. So if we were at a meeting, at the select board meeting, and we just showed up for there to discuss what's on the agenda, we don't have to post that we're there. So I just wanted to get that information out, because there was some question on that.
Well,
Why is it that every time
I'll also
Don't
add,
have
sorry.
All right.
I'm sorry, Dick asked me, we were in the planning board, we were always under the knowledge that if we went to like the select board meeting, it was 3 of us, that we needed to post a meeting. And that is an incorrect open meeting requirement.
I agree.
That's it, that's all I'm gonna put out there, some information.
Okay. Go ahead, Michelle.
I guess I would ask Fran, did you have a chance to see the video for the last meeting?
I was
Yeah.
inundated when I was driving back from Virginia from phone calls, not from parents, because I'd like to later present something to the board and to the town administrator for record, and it's concerning the Rutland Heights. It's no secret, and I'm gonna explain it again. I cannot and will not use my computer. I have a dongle. Tim, do you know what a dongle is?
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
I run equipment with my computer. I already screwed up my computer once by doing Zoom. Tamika's been notified all the time, and Peter has been notified. I use the town computer. At whatever you were trying to get from that, I was in Skip Clark's kitchen using town computer. So there was no one there, you're gonna have to take my word, other than leaving and helping me, because I've had problems with his laptop and finding stuff and getting stuff. So that's it on that. I understand where Mike might be upset at me, and I understand that. But I'm very upset what has been going on behind the scenes, and I want this board to know what happened from another person. And it concerns us, and we should know about this. And, but we can go on about the computer. But that's my side of the story on that. If you allow me,
Well,
now or soon, I would like to give some paperwork to each person,
Sure.
to you, and to Tamika for record.
I just make the one point. I'd like to make one point. I'm not upset
and I got the email on Monday for a Tuesday meeting, and I couldn't make it. But do anyone else have a comment about this? Go ahead.
So, yeah, just one last comment, I guess, is that I did phone about the state about the ethics violation of the situation. And because we did not go into because we did not go into an executive session, there's no violation. However, you were pushing for us to go into executive session with people in the room, and I think that's the crux of the problem, is that just because it didn't happen doesn't mean it wouldn't have happened, I guess, in my opinion. And the second thing is, we have to be able to trust each other. And if we can't, whether we're online or in person or whatever, we just have to be able to trust each other.
You know what, and you're gonna be shocked at this. I absolutely agree with you. And that's a big thing, what I'm gonna show you, why we should trust each other. And I know Mike has said we're a teamwork. But I want this as public record. This is an email I received from the Woo Sox. Mike Novia sent it. And no, we talk about trust, and this is important. And Mike, you can have it. I want it short and sweet. It's not a book. But I want to point out a few things in this.
I'm sure.
I'm
Fran.
sorry, I apologize.
It's all right.
And this is part of the crux
I'm gonna
of,
allow this because I think it'll be perceived wrongly if I don't, but we're really kind of stepping,
well, what you
away
have to
from
understand, and
the subject.
I want the people in here to understand, there are families right now watching this that are very upset, that deal, whether it's Little League or soccer or AAU, and are involved in this program. And this is very, very good for the town. And Mike did not tell us. And the only reason we knew about it was because the select board chewed him out on one meeting. The select board, if it wasn't for the select board, this person's still interested in Rutland. You came out looking good. The planner and the selectmen were friendly, open, and warm. That's what we should be. Not just a short, quick phone call. This is a big, legit company. And they can do a lot with us. We talk about maybe tourism in the town of Rutland. This would be ideal. Has anyone ever gone to an AAU program or an NCAA? This would be terrific. And we should have an attitude of, let's talk, let's be open. This is the kind of stuff that I get upset with, and it shouldn't go this way.
okay,
And that's all.
stop for a second. So if I read this, what this gentleman wrote, I'll read it out loud for the public to hear.
It's short.
Hi, Francis. Thank you for reaching out. This was dated July 12th. Just wanted to give you a quick summary of my interest in the Rutland Heights property. Talked to a gentleman from the town, Mike Sullivan. It was just a brief conversation. Mr. Sullivan informed me that the land was being sold to build a 55 and over community, so I assumed that property was not available. I'm going to stop right there. He shouldn't have assumed, because I told him that we were under contract for that piece of property. So,
Go ahead, I have response to that.
okay. Several weeks later, I was contacted by one of the select, and I also said to him that if he was interested in pursuing other land, to let me know, and I would assist him with that. I don't see that. That's besides the point. Several weeks later, I was contacted by one of the selectmen from Mitchell City. He was very much interested in the Junior Woo Sox and youth sports, so Mitch set up a meeting with a few selectmen, town planner, town administrator. Very positive meeting. We looked at a few properties in town. Still think the two lower lots of the Heights property would be a good fit for DP Sports and Junior Woo Sox. Also still in talks with Skip on his property. Skip, I'm assuming that's Skip Clark. If the selectman, town planner, town administrator would like to set up another meeting, we would be more than happy to come out to Rutland. Thank you, Michael Novia. So in regards to the two other parcels, I informed him that the parcel B, is that the B? B is on the left side of the road?
B is on the left, C is on the right.
B is out. It's environmentally impossible for them to put fields there. I told him that. And when he told me he was looking for, again, I don't remember exactly, 10 to 12 acres of land, then B is out, because it's basically 4 or 5 acres of land. So you can be upset with me all you want. What I'm telling you is, I told him the exact truth that still is the same as it is today. And I don't want to go down this Woosok road. That's
No,
not.
no, no,
the-
you're missing my point. It's the attitude, Mike. It's the attitude of, let's find something. Even all the land in the town of Rutland was taken. To bring a person like that in and have a receptive, warm, kind of fuzzy, no, it's important, Mike. That's how you market and sell things. And he was, I don't want to tell you what he said, that the attitude, what you were like, and that's important. And this is why, when he went to the selectmen, it was a total different attitude.
Okay.
It's a can-do attitude.
Stop.
That's what we have to have
Stop.
at this RDIC.
Stop. This has nothing to do with the subject at hand. Does anyone want to continue, ask any other questions of Franz in regards to the open meeting, that whole situation? Let's get beyond that.
I've moved on
Yep.
through the chair.
Same thing.
Jim, Bonnie, Michelle? I guess, Franz, the only question I'd ask you is, why did you intentionally try to hide the fact that they were there? That's the part that was very troubling to me.
Why weren't you more cordial and open and warm
No.
to this person? No, don't don't assume that my
Franz,
attitude.
stop.
I saw you.
Franz, stop.
No, Mike, you stop.
Franz, stop. What I just asked you was, why did you try to hide the fact that the 2 selectmen were at
I
your
never
meeting?
tried to hide the fact. And don't even put that in. I even met, he had a comment. Look at him, look, he's talking to somebody. That's crazy. This is what
Can you
drives
call up
people
that
nuts.
meeting? Tamika, please. Can you call up that meeting? And I don't want to belabor this point. It's going to ultimately get us nowhere.
Why, I don't want to belabor the point that you blew off the Woo Sox. You blew
Stop
off
with the
Woo
Woo Sox.
It's a separate issue.
Stop.
No, it's not. It's important to
Stop.
this town.
And if you can't stop, I'm going to ask you to leave the meeting.
How is it?
You agreed to live by the rules, please do it. I'm trying to be a gentleman and run the meeting properly here. And these were the issues that were brought to my attention by the public, that I think they have a right to answer. So
And
that's,
Mike,
that-
these were
just
the
let me
families that
finish.
brought the issues up about the Woo Sox. Okay?
2 separate issues.
No, it's the.
Stop on the Woo Sox. If you
No.
continue with the Woo Sox, I'm gonna ask you to leave the meeting. Please, all right? I'm trying to be polite here.
No, you're not. Mike, this is silly. And what you're trying to do is a vindictive get back at Fran. That's all this is.
Franz, I was asked the question by 2 separate individuals.
Mike, I was called inundated by families complaining about how you treated the Woo Sox.
But
For the last time, no more Woo Sox until perhaps later in the discussion. So, Tamika, can you go to 2420? And just anywhere there, that's fine. Here's the question that was asked to me. Why is it that when the door opens and one of the selectmen enter, you shut the camera off?
I'm in someone's kitchen.
Oh, sorry.
you're too far. I think Tamika, you're too far. Yeah, start there. Just
Made a motion.
So, executive session discussion is over. Okay. Well, unless anybody has anything else to add, that's all I've got for tonight's meeting. I kind of felt bad even having the hearing, but I thought it was important enough to at least try to keep you folks as surprised as we can.
Mike, I hate to be the
Yeah, thanks for that, Rick.
Can you show the timer?
I want to bring up at this meeting that Chris has talked to you about, or anybody else, that they need our direction to make sure there's no issues in the next HPDA meeting.
Not that it has been brought to my
Oh
attention.
my God.
My personal concern.
So-
is
This is the question that was asked, Franz. If you don't want to answer
Hey,
it,
I got families
excuse
calling me, why you
just
blow off,
let
again,
me-
it's not a big deal, Mike. You blew off somebody that was interested in the town.
One more discussion with the Woo Sox, and I'm going to ask you to leave.
I'll leave, because this is
Okay.
stupid.
Please,
This
please
is
leave.
ridiculous.
Thank you.
No.
Okay. Any other discussion on that? Obviously, Mr. Steiner doesn't want to answer the questions of the public, so we'll just leave it at that.
Mike, I think some of the question was answered. It satisfies me, the point that needed assistance for computer support. I get
No,
that.
I understand, but the question that was asked of me is, why is it that he intentionally hides the fact that they're there?
Okay.
And I was hoping to get an answer to that. I mean, let me, can you go back to that for 1 second? I'm sorry, Tamika. This is the one that both individuals were most concerned about, and that is 25 minutes roughly.
Everybody agrees that a second means of egress is best and is important, but I thought it was being very clear.
Okay, you see someone in the background, and now, obviously, I mean, I wasn't just, I'm gonna go rest on my arm, it was, I'm gonna hide the individual that I just saw on my computer screen.
I did not know that was, through the chair, I did not know that that was his kitchen. I did not.
Well,
know
it
that-
it doesn't make any
Skip's
difference
kitchen, yeah.
where it is, I mean,
Yeah,
so, okay, it's done, as far as I'm concerned, it's done. You know, if he doesn't wanna address it with us, I guess there's nothing we can do about that. So, discussion, so that, no one else has any questions, concerns there, we're done, okay, fine. The next item is discussion and updates on Harbor Classic Homes. I just wanna make it known to you that, in 1 second I'll tell you, maybe more than 1 second. Well, okay, I believe it was Thursday or Friday, we received the $90,000 deposit payment. It is in the hands of the town attorney, being held in escrow. So, as far as I'm concerned, we've kind of now crossed the line and where we need to be. Effective tomorrow, they're gonna be up there with equipment doing some searching. So,
Mr. Chairman,
yes,
just because I didn't hear it correctly, did you say 9,000 or 90,000?
90.
Okay, just wanted to make sure, I thought I heard 9.
No,
So just
90.
okay.
Okay, now, so I've been waiting until I was very comfortable that we had reached where we are right now, and that happened on Thursday. So that's why I scheduled a meeting as soon as I could. I think it's important that we put out a public statement on the town website. I've also talked to the Landmark, and I'm kind of wondering why she hasn't called me back yet. She was on vacation last week, but I'll follow up on that. So I wrote something that I was going to put on the website, and I said, you know, I really think it's fair that the committee gets to see it before it goes on the website. So I asked Tamika if she could just put this up, and please, don't anyone think you're going to hurt my feelings. If you want to change anything, add anything, this was just kind of me sitting. So I'll just kind of, on behalf of the RDIC, I'm pleased to announce that after over 6 months of intense negotiations by the negotiating team selected by the RDIC, consisting of myself, the town administrator, the town planner, as well as town legal counsel, the RDIC has signed a purchase and sale agreement with Harbor Classic Homes located in Leominster, Mass. HCH plans to build an over 55 community of between 88 and 142 units on a portion of the site where the Rutland Heights Hospital was located at 86 Maple Avenue. This site is called the Heights Plan Development District, the HPDD. This was a response to the last request for proposal soliciting bids for the property, resulting in an initial submission from HCH of $750,000 to build 88 units on the main portion of the property at the top of the hill where the main buildings were located, as well as utilize the parcel on the right side of the Rutland Heights Way. I am correct, that's north, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. During the negotiations by the negotiating team, the location of the project was repositioned in its entirety to the top of the hill only, resulting in the preservation of the parcel along the roadway for future development. In addition, HCH proposed building between 88 and 142 units. These final negotiations resulted in a final purchase price of $1,650,000. This lifestyle community will result in significant reoccurring revenues to the town without the typical impacts to the town's services and infrastructure that are inevitable in a single-family home development. If we can make some reasonable budgetary assumptions, the anticipated tax revenue could be as follows. 88 units assessed at, and I just kind of guessed, $325,000. I picked a very conservative number, I think, with a tax rate of $1,670 a thousand. That's $477,620 a year. And if 142 units were built under the same scenario, that would be $770,000 of recurring tax revenue to the town. So HCH will, over the next 8 weeks or so, be doing site evaluation and inspection with an anticipated closing date of approximately 1/1/21. Between now and the final closing date, there will be many meetings of the HPDD Review Board to discuss and review the proposed designs submitted to them by HCH. We'll welcome any and all input at these public meetings. Respectfully, myself.
Mike, quick question for
Sure.
you. If I remember the documents right, wasn't that October 15th when they were gonna close?
Yes.
You just put float in there as a good project
Yes.
manager. I'm good. I'm good. I know exactly
I
what you're
just
doing.
anticipate we won't hit that date.
That's
so,
fine. No, I'm good with the
For
float.
various reasons, so.
Float, I understand really well.
So, anybody, thoughts, comments?
I like it.
I think it's short and sweet.
I didn't want it so long that nobody would read it.
Yeah, but it gives relevant facts for people in town to understand what we're getting from this.
The one thing I would ask you to do, Tim, because you can do it easier than I guess I could call the town treasurer, but I just want to confirm that my numbers are right here. I believe they are.
Okay.
I'll talk to the town treasurer.
Is it 670 the tax rate right now?
1670 is
1670.
the tax rate.
Oh,
So I believe I'm good there.
I think you're right.
That's the only thing I don't want to get hung up.
They'll be selling for more than $325.
Yeah.
I expected, the same thing, Jim, but I just kind of picked a low ball number, just because again, if we set expectations too high.
What is Lyndon doing to
I
our
don't
screen?
know. I don't know.
Who's doing that?
What is that?
Lyndon, but I'm not sure.
Somebody's
if
writing
Lyndon needs
something
to do
that's
that.
putting lines on. Mr. Chairman, at an appropriate time, I'd like to comment
Go right ahead.
on the overall project and what's been
Go right
going
ahead.
on, if that's okay.
If no one has any other, is everybody okay with me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if
very
you can go
nice.
back to that for just a minute, because I want a brief comment on that, but I want to be significantly broader. So I just want to make clear, because the public is watching this, is that the numbers used at 88 units that come to 477 to the 142, it's going to fall somewhere within that range between the two, to be clear, because we're not absolutely sure how many units will be constructed based upon when they actually start doing their detailed design and looking at the site. Maybe it turns out to be 100 units or 112, we just don't know. So that is a range of revenue that the town might collect, depending upon how many final units are actually developed. But they've been approved for up to 142 units, so
Right.
I think
and-
that's.
Excuse me for interrupting, but that's, just before that, I said HCH proposed building between 88
Yep.
and 142, just
And
for that.
I know you did, I'm just trying to make it clear to the
Yeah,
public, because
okay.
that's really an important understanding
Yep.
of what it means. I don't want them to add the two numbers together or anything like that. It's a range of between 477 and $770,000. Now, I first wanted to talk a little bit about the committee and the work that's gone on, because I think it's really, really critical that everybody understands. There was a lot of conversation from people even outside of the committee that we would be willing to take a lower price for the property because we're looking for the long-term tax revenue that would benefit us. The committee, I think, looked at it a little bit differently. They felt that the taxpayers deserve the best possible price for the land and the tax revenue. So call it greedy, call it trying to be responsible on behalf of taxpayers. So there was a tremendous amount of discussion in the purchase price, and compliments to Mike and the group for pushing the limit to get to that $1,650,000. Because there's a lot of people, if I would've came in this room and said, we're getting $800,000 for the property, I think there would've been a lot of people go, okay, great, you know? Because we are hungry for the revenue for the town on an annual basis. So to me, it was a huge home run, and the committee deserves a lot of credit for pushing the envelope. And we had pushed it, quite frankly, up to over $1.7 million, and we thought we were gonna get there, and then we had to fall back to the $1,650,000. But it was that constant pushing that got us a lot of revenue. And that's important because you have to remember, the first thing we gotta do with that $1.6 million of revenue is we have to first pay off the debt on the property, which is, I think, in the tune of 500 and something.
It's only 300.
No.
Is it down to 300 or something?
Yeah.
What's the
Purchase
number?
price was 5 something.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
what's the left debt, do you remember?
It's 3 something.
3 and a
Yeah,
quarter or
Whatever it
something.
is, 380,
326 or
whatever that number is.
something.
The first thing we do is to pay that debt off.
Yeah.
We have to pay all the costs of the transaction, the real estate fees, and any legal costs or whatever as it deals with the closing. But at the end of the day, there will be significant amounts of money left from that purchase price that hopefully the town will be able to, and again, it depends upon what the Board of Selectmen thinks, but I know I'll be recommending that we use that money for capital purchases and for repairs to town facilities that are long overdue. But that's a discussion to be had at a later date. But without that fight and the committee's efforts at making that price higher, we wouldn't have that money for capital improvement projects. So I think that helps the town significantly deal with some problems in town. So kudos to the member negotiating team. And we did push it, let me tell you, we pushed it right to the top to get as much as we can. And compliments to Harbor Homes, who, you know, we looked at it, and I think actually Jim was part of our thought process, as we originally looked at it as a price per unit price when we first had the number for the 142 units. And as it went along, a lot of things happened. The total unit price here comes down a little bit over what the original 88 unit price number was, right? But we were still very satisfied with where we got to, and think it's frankly a good price. But I wanted you to know that I think in our original discussion when we were talking about the 88 units, the conversation we had among this board about what the price per unit was helped influence getting to the 142 units, if that makes sense to you guys. So I think overall we were very pleased. We, at the end of the process, and there was a lot of internal discussion among the negotiating team of how to keep moving forward in this negotiation. And Mike, to his credit, listened to all the views of the team, and he was kind of our spokesman that went back to Harbor Homes to negotiate the numbers we talked about. But I want to compliment Harbor Homes because for the most part they were very reasonable, and they kept increasing the price with us and working with us and having really good, serious debate about where we, would end up here. And at the end of the day, we brought in the actual owner, the person who's bankrolling this to our meetings. And I think the last couple of weeks of negotiation, we got a little bit nervous, because all of a sudden they were getting queasy, which means they were getting concerned about the price, right? But in the end, we brought in the owner of the company, and he came in, and I think that really kind of broke it and made us feel comfortable that, yes, Harbor Homes was serious about this project, there was a commitment to move forward, and that he was going to be a serious player and get this project done. And I think that helped in our reassurance that this was going to move forward. Now, my last couple of comments on this goes to the people of town. And I'm going to speak, I'm obviously not a resident of town. I've been hired as the town administrator to do what I believe is best for the town. But to me, this overall project is of tremendous value to the town. The town clearly is in need of revenue. And by utilizing 55 and older housing, the services needed by that community are much less than a service that would be needed by individual houses. Because individual houses, usually there's children and they have school costs and all that stuff. With 55 and older units, you really don't have those kind of costs. As a matter of fact, sadly to say that they might actually increase revenue because there might be more ambulance costs and ambulance revenue. And you don't have the 55 and older, they don't, as much as a lot of units, they don't tie up traffic as much as single family homes. So all the way around, in my opinion, this is a home run for the town. Now, some people don't like any development, no matter what it is, they're not gonna like it. But there are towns across the Commonwealth that are screaming for this kind of project. They would love this project. So I want citizens to know, those that are watching this, that from a statewide perspective, from people looking in, this is a big benefit to the town. And I think that it will help some of those seniors who live in housing that can no longer afford to maintain their current houses, gives them an option to trade to a house and not leave Rutland and get to a community atmosphere where they can do it. So even for seniors who live in Rutland, this might be a really nice alternative to their current homes, that they can move in someplace where they don't have to do all the yard work and all that kind of things. As we looked at the proposal, I know you guys have all seen the documents, the proposal is beautiful. And now moving from 88 to 142, they want to increase the services and benefits to the community by making things like a clubhouse and different things to make it more of a community atmosphere, and that revenue will help them. So, to me, I was sad that I wasn't here at the last meeting, so I really wanted the public, whoever watches this, to really understand the value of this and how hard the community worked to get to this. We have a long way to go. There's still a lot of work that's got to be done to get this project to fruition. But as I understand, we've never been this close. We've never had a purchase sale agreement on this property.
No, that's,
So for those people that have been frustrated that it took a long time to get here, they should be very pleased that we have a real deal on the table with real dollar amounts, with real deposits, and a real opportunity to significantly bring in good revenue to the town that will help us deal with some of our financial issues. Again, kudos to the entire committee and Mike for his leadership and for his listening ability to the rest of us who had very strong opinions on this issue. Thank you, Mike, for the
thank you.
time to come.
Excuse me a minute, please. For those who were impatient and didn't think we were progressing as quickly as we should have, I say to them, perhaps it took us 6 months to get this done, but was it worth $900,000 to wait that 6 months? I say yes, it was.
Yeah.
So, okay, sorry, Tim?
The only thing I was gonna, and I don't know how to work this in, Mike, is as part of the press release, let the public know that with this purchase, that the Heights property will be owned entirely by the town of Rutland, because when we pay the note off, we own all the other parcels. They're not under debt still. So I don't know how to work that in there, but I thought it might be, like a sentence saying that with the purchase of this property, the Rutland Heights property will be entirely owned by the town of
Parcel
Rutland.
B and C.
Yeah. I don't know if that's important, but
Parcel A won't be owned by the town, though.
Yeah, but B and C will be, that's
B
what
and
it's.
C.
correct.
I think what you want to say is that the note is paid off.
Yeah, something along that.
That's what you're getting at, is that the loan will be paid off.
Yes.
That's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to, Michelle, just basically
So,
saying that'll be taken off the tax rolls for the town.
Okay.
And Mr. Chairman, to his point, and I think it's important that B and C effectively will be paid off as this note's paid down. What I was talking with Mike today is we should consider, now that we have a purchase and sale agreement on A, we should really look at what we want to do with C. And, what are some of the ideas of what that land might be valuable for? And I was talking about, Mike, is maybe we start considering doing our RFP on C in particular.
Ron?
Yep.
Me, I'm shooting myself to have
Well,
to do that this, no.
Yeah, but that's something frankly, I can do most of that work.
No,
I'm
it's
not really
done.
worried about it.
I mean, the
Yeah, we look
RFP
at
is
the old
done.
RFP, make some adaptations, and we can move forward. Now, let me tell you why I think that land is more valuable. Is because now you're gonna have a 55 and holder complex there. This land, parcel C, may be more valuable for somebody who might want to do an urgent care unit or something that might be complementary to a 55 and older complex, right?
Like
So
a
that-
new drugstore.
Drugstore, yeah.
Or post
yeah,
office.
Who knows? I mean, one of the things I'm truthfully pushing is I think that the town's future economic development is tourism. So frankly, I wouldn't mind seeing like a bed and breakfast there. But there's a variety of things that we can look at. That land, I think, is gonna increase in its value because of what this deal does. Because it makes it more valuable to be close to a 55 and older complex. So it's something I don't think we have to do tomorrow, but it is something that I expressed to Mike today we should start looking at.
Yes, Bonnie?
Yes, I think that we should also make sure people know that there is more land available. This is not taking the whole thing, because I don't think it really
Well,
states that we have a lot more land that we can sell.
don't I say we preserved,
Parcel along the roadway for future development, yeah.
Yeah, you say that in the third paragraph, or fourth paragraph, Mike.
I guess I would just say that I'm not sure that has to be done here. That might be another bonus for another press release in the future.
Sure.
You see what we're talking about, Bonnie? It says during negotiations by the team, the location of the project was repositioned in its entirety to the top of the hill. Yeah, right, what
Yeah.
Tamika is, resulting in the preservation of the parcel along the roadway in its entirety. Oh, for future development.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I did think
So it's
that,
kind of there. Is that,
sure.
you want to know if you'd like it,
That's fine.
if you think about it, send me an email. If you got some
Okay.
wording you want me to put in there, I'm happy
I
to do
just
it.
didn't, when I read it, I didn't remember that was there, so that's fine.
Okay. Yes, Michelle?
I have two things. The first one is fast. I checked the town website and the tax rate for 2021 is 1670 per thousand valuation, so you are correct with that number. And Ron, you just mentioned that as it if they add more units, they might be adding more amenities like community buildings or whatnot. But one of the things that that we've been very clear about, just to be clear again, is that those buildings would be for the residents only. They wouldn't be public for the townspeople.
no, it's not that kind of, the units that, the amenities we're talking about are for the citizens who are there. So perhaps a clubhouse for the people who live there, not for outside amenities, but for amenities within the complex.
Right. I just want to make sure that was clear again.
Yep, that's clear.
And your numbers are correct, Mike. I did the math quick.
Okay, thank you. I mean, the other thing that I don't know if you folks went back and read the actual agreement, but there still is in there, if they don't build 88 units in a
$3,000
4.5,
per unit.
I think it is year, time frame, that we get $3,000 a unit as a one-time payment and so on and so forth, so.
Mike, just to point out, and I'm not gonna get into it because we have to look at the futures, but there is some sort of an outstanding issue of a secondary road that at some point is gonna have to be discussed and considered. If what the town's involvement in that secondary road might be, that's still an open issue to some degree.
Yeah,
I think
when-
Director
when we-
Buckley's working on that, right, Mike?
When we came out of our last meeting and I came to the selectmen and told him we had
You did
signed the
mention it.
document, I told him that was really the only unknown expense to the town. And I've also discussed that with HCH's attorney, and we agreed to wait until this deposit was in hand, and now we're gonna get after that with DCR.
Which brings me to Jeff Lacy.
Yes, sir.
Are you gonna, are they, HCH, gonna hire him, or are we?
I don't know whether it'll be Jeff Lacy or whether they have someone that they would like to use. My suggestion to them was that if the town looks to do this, I think they'd have a much easier time dealing with DCR than a private
Yes.
builder. You know, I just think they look more favorably on a town than a private contractor. I may be wrong there, but.
I think you're right, myself.
So the point is, I'll probably, I'll try to do it this week. I will talk to their attorney again, find out where we are with that. Because that to me, and he understands that, we really can't establish the lot, the middle lot line, until that is resolved. And he knows that, so that's tops on his hit list as well.
Okay, that takes care of that one.
The other thing you ask about is trees,
Well, that too.
logging.
Yeah,
I will make it clear to them that if there's revenue from logging, it's the town's. We have talked about it kind of around it before, but never really addressed it.
okay.
I think that can be part of the definitive plan sign off or something.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Wishing well.
Yes, sir. I have discussed that with Joe, the DPW superintendent. He asked me how deep it was, and I told him I wasn't sure.
I couldn't, you know, like I said, I couldn't budget with a tractor, so it's gotta be down there somewhat.
Okay, and Dick, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna remember, but I think he told me his machine, his vacuum cleaner will suck 12 feet, 15 feet, maybe. If it's deeper than that his sucker machine will not work. So he was gonna go up there with Chris, and they were gonna look into it, and in all honesty, I have not heard from him, and I have not
I'll
followed
try to
up.
suck the rocks out to get down to the
Well, maybe,
Yeah,
maybe suck the coin stuff out.
yeah,
I mean,
I kinda gathered as much.
Yeah,
Find a
But-
1944 penny that's worth $10,000.
I'm thinking, no, of 18 something or other.
so wishing
I
well.
feel it should be historic.
Um,
And if the well can stay in one piece, it may be something that we, in the future, could go dig and put someplace else as a wishing well, as something for, who knows?
The new town offices that'll be built over there. Whoops.
Oh, cool.
Did I say that out loud?
And, or, maybe at the park. You never
Yeah.
know. I mean, it might be a good,
There's a committee
something
for-
good.
There's a committee for that now.
Correct. All right.
Anybody, anything else?
Motion.
Yeah, go right ahead, Dick.
Other lands, RDIC, in the future, should we have a discussion about other lands? Because is it written up that the RDIC is in charge of other properties? I'm thinking,
Not
you
to the
shake
best
your
of my
head, no,
knowledge.
but, pardon?
Not to the best of my knowledge.
You're positive of it?
No, I'm absolutely not positive of it.
If I could, Mr. Chairman, as I recall, in an economic development kind of study that I put out there, I looked at the state law that creates this organization, and it really was designed specifically around the Heights property.
No, that
Like there
can't,
might be
No.
towns,
The
but
way I
the
read
town
it
might
is
have
right,
done
I have it in that report, the
well,
actual
it
language.
can't be that, because this committee was around long before the Heights property.
Yes.
This committee was established long before the Heights property
Okay.
was even in.
So the
play.
Heights property was an addition, the language for the state law that had you guys do the Heights property was put in after you guys were created?
That's my recollection.
Okay, I just read, I'm reading from my comments are from the state
Yeah.
statute that created the Heights property sale. So if there's some provision before then, I'd have to look at that.
And I think it'd be a good idea to have clarification. I don't know if Anita would have any of that stuff way back when, 1890 or so.
So,
But I'll bet you're gonna research it, Dick.
so again, if I could comment, there's two different type of economic, as far as I know, okay, I'm not an economic development expert, but there's two different things. There's economic development commissions that don't have authority to purchase land or do land transaction. And then there's, economic development authorities that do have that kind of power. So you see it a lot in major cities where they have authority who buy and sell land for economic development purposes. You guys, as I read, was kind of uniquely created. And again, I only read the legislation dealing with the Heights that was specific to that. But we would have to look and see if you have the powers of an authority versus the straight economic development commission. So it's something we'd have to do some research on.
Yes.
But that's the distinction between the two types of groups.
Yeah.
Because truly the two revenue generating projects that the RDIC has done is, number one, the cell tower down on Route 68, which has generated in excess of $300,000 over the last 20 years, I think it is. And now this, so.
I was gonna ask you about that, Mike. There was some discussion about renegotiating that contract with the cell companies.
We're getting.
Is that going anywhere?
We're getting off our agenda now.
Okay.
Ron and I discussed it a little bit, but again, this has kind of been
Not on the agenda,
where my attention has been.
But that's the particular land down there that I thought would be something that, to help bring in other industries or other businesses is what's on Route 68. Because it has been zoned for that. And if we are supposed to be involved, I would like to see us get involved.
Okay, anything else? That's all I have. So just to kind of hit my bullet notes here, I'm gonna make note that in this public announcement, that this will pay off the note and we will own it clear and free and clear. Then I just made note of, I gotta do something with the roadway issue, something with the wishing well, and something with logging.
Might want a motion just to approve the letter.
Mike, do we need a motion to approve that letter? Because typically that goes through the TA.
No.
Okay, good enough.
This committee 5 years ago. We voted that the chairman had latitude to do things that he thought was in the best interest of the
Okay.
of the RDIC in the town, and I think this is a perfect example. I don't really think I needed to come before you to do this, but I
that's
think
fine.
it's important that, my big thing is, I think you should see it and know it before it goes out to the public, and there's no other way for me to do it other than I can send it to Tamika and she can send it out, but I don't know, that's kind of a fine line to me.
The only reason I brought it up, because I remember a discussion at the select board a while back that all communications for the town of Rutland would go through you. That's the only reason I brought it up.
And I would say, just as a courtesy, if you don't mind, Mike, and I know you don't have to do it, but the select board is the governing body of the town. I would ask that you send a copy of the letter to the select board as well prior to them reading the
Oh,
newspaper.
what I intend to do is send it to every department head,
Okay.
as well as having it posted on the website.
Yeah, the select board likes to see things before it's in the paper when it is particularly a big issue like this, so.
And we just talked about it in an open meeting, so they should know now.
Yeah, well, obviously there's a couple of selectmen on, but I just think it's a basic procedure. It's a good idea to keep them informed at all times as to big decisions like this.
Speaking of people on, does anyone from the public have any questions, comments, or things they want to share? If not,
Mike, this is Lyndon.
hi Lyndon.
Hey, sorry about that. I was trying to actually enlarge the document because I couldn't see it on my phone. But I did learn a valuable lesson that people can write on our documents as we're having meetings, which is because if I wanted to say something, there's no stopping me, I guess. But,
So you were the one scribbling, eh?
yeah, I guess so. I don't know how that could happen, but I
Mark up
apologize.
to
I
No,
wasn't
it's not a
scribbling on
problem.
your document.
It was
I just wanted to echo Ron and say kudos, and I'm very excited to see the progress that's going on and the benefits to the town. But then again, like I say, I apologize for disrupting your document.
Nah, that was not a problem. It was very minor scribbles.
But Ron, it's a good thing if we could address that for future meetings, because that actually is a concern to me.
I didn't even know you could do it, so we'll have
Yeah.
to address that with Tamika.
I didn't know
And you know, I didn't recognize, I have no understanding of how you could even do it, because
Well, you could have
Tamika's
some,
in control of the document, so I don't know how you can do it. But
yeah, I think you should address it, because, I mean, if anybody can do it,
Yeah.
and you don't know
Well,
who's
that's what
doing
I'm
it.
saying. Somebody could, a participant could get on a meeting and just,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
they talk about Zoom
We'll have to-
bombing. This
we'll have
isn't
to
even
look at
bombing.
it.
I could just be
Think we
writing
can do
whatever
it.
I want.
yeah, that,
Good lesson, so there was a reason for it. But,
Excellent.
Good job, everyone.
Linda, we'll
Thank
talk
you,
about it.
Linda.
I don't
Appreciate
quite
the-
know how it can be done, but we'll look at it.
Yep.
appreciate the support, London, and I just want to say one thing to you. We are an open meeting, we're an open board, we want your input, so, you've got my cell number, you know how to get in touch with me. Unfortunately, it hasn't been as communicative as I wished in the past, so perhaps, it can be better now.
Sounds good. I appreciate that. Goes both ways. I did have an inquiry on the parcel, so I might talk to you briefly on that. I don't know that it's anything that will progress or not, but I just wanted to have a conversation as far as the parcels that will be left.
Sure, absolutely, yep,
All right. Thank you, everyone.
thanks,
All
London.
right.
Anybody else?
It's Leah.
Hi, Leah.
Hi guys. Sorry I'm not there. I was very surprised, pleasantly surprised to hear the number last week, and I just wanted to, I think a lot of you stayed for the beginning of our meeting, but I just wanted to kind of offer huge congratulations for all the hard work and time and effort that this has been. It's been a labor of love, I think, for many of you, and to see it come to fruition is exciting for the town especially, and so thank you to everyone that's been involved from the very beginning, because it's been a whole team effort for many years, so thank you. It's exciting. And then my only question, and I've had this conversation with Ron, just as far as looking at what to do with additional parcels, is keep in consideration what the town's needs are, and so guess personally, I caution rushing it out to an RFP if there's legitimate uses that the town could utilize the land for. But that's just kind of my own personal, thing, you know what I mean? So take it or leave it, but just another piece of consideration for the RDIC as a whole.
Well, Leah, that's an excellent point, and I can tell you that, you know, over the last 5 years, back when Margaret was here, we talked about getting some sort of, you know, a seance of some sort of all of the town departments, so that if there is interest, we get together as a group and discuss it and determine whether, you know, I mean, everybody, I'm sure, could come up with something they'd like to see there, but, you know, what is the interest? Are they realistic? And, you know, is it worthwhile to maybe hold that land or, you know, earmark it for something? But in order for that to happen, and I'm glad to see, I think Lyndon's still on, you know, I think that would be best organized by the select board, and, you know, maybe Lyndon and I can talk about that as well.
Is it-
Mr. Chairman?
I'm sorry?
Lyndon has his hand raised.
Oh, I was wondering what that hand meant. I'm gonna wave at you, Lyndon.
Hey, I'm sorry, but when Leah was speaking, it brought to mind, I sat through an MMA training today about open meetings, and obviously that was the topic of discussion tonight. And one of the things was is if there isn't a video, because like we wouldn't know if there's a quorum and if we started to deliberate or anything, because we don't know who's in the room. And they said that if you do not have a video and it's open, like on a Zoom or something like that, then you should be identifying who's in the room. That's just for future going forward. That, you know, that was something that they said would be a requirement. Like I said, I would have no idea who's in the room, whether we had a quorum, things like that. So that's just another FYI.
Okay,
I'll make one comment.
thanks, Lyndon.
Thanks a lot, Lyndon. Geez, now we're gonna make,
We gotta announce ourselves.
yeah.
So,
Go ahead.
I'm not sure why we can't see the room, but if you see if the room is visible and you can see the people, that's fine. But if not, you have to identify people in the
The
room.
video's
So,
on.
just
Got
an
it
FYI.
over there.
Okay, thanks, Lyndon.
okay.
Yes, Ron?
Just a comment, and I haven't been around prior to, you know, the 8 months or so that I've been here now. But I remember when we were talking originally about the RFP, it seemed to me that A and C were set aside for some type of development, and parcel B, there was always some perception that municipal services might be put on that, be it a senior complex or something. So I do remember parcel B, a lot of discussion about that being somehow used for town services.
Well,
I don't know how that came to be, I just know that that was part of it.
no, it just kind of
Any
evolved
discussions?
into a discussion, and, you know, someone said, well, gee, you know, are we ever gonna have municipal building site? You know, the town of Shrewsbury keeps coming up, you know, should it be there? Yeah, there's never been any official discussion about that.
But, well, through the chair, well, isn't there a new committee formed, or is
Excuse
that
me,
just for?
Michelle,
So,
just came to the door. Would you just tell them this is well, I guess there's a sign on the door.
so there's two committees that were developed some time ago that never kind of got filled because of COVID and stuff. But there was one which is a community building for our senior center, looking at the future of building a new building. And then there was another committee that seemed to me that was mostly designed around looking at current infrastructure and trying to figure out what the future capital needs of those buildings were,
Mhm.
and maybe looking at capacity issues for buildings and stuff. You know, we've addressed that a lot through a recent facilities management plan that I had done by a consulting company, so I'm not sure if there's still a need for that or not. The Board of Selectmen has asked me to kind of delve in those issues, so we're exploring what the actual charge of those two committees were.
The only reason I bring it up is because the town spent $10,000, $20,000 on a pre-plan for updating the town hall. And there was a number like 1.6 million or 2 million that came back.
I remember
You
reading.
know, we're kind of going down a
Yeah, we're
path
going
here
in
that
the
doesn't,
agenda item, right?
isn't part of our agenda, and, you know, I'm
But it's
perfectly
something we
willing
could
to,
talk about.
Something.
perfectly
we need to
willing to
talk
have
about.
this
There
discussion,
was a lot of
but
those discussions
I don't
in
know
terms
that
of
it's
disability
appropriate
issues
now.
and stuff, but that's a
Okay.
different report.
I don't mean to cut it off, but
I know you're right, it's not an
No.
agenda item.
There's
And I think
another
people
meeting
here for
gonna
the next
happen
meeting,
here.
yeah.
when are we gonna have another meeting?
No,
Oh, yes, another meeting at 6:30, that's correct.
yes.
Motion to adjourn?
Oh, Leah has her hand up.
Oh,
Sorry, no.
Leah,
Sorry, I just wanted to finish and also pass my thanks along to Harbor Homes, because with all the work back and forth, it's clear that they are really invested in this project and the town as a whole. So that means a lot too, to know that it's working with a group that really sees something in Rutland and wants to be here rather than just kind of available space. So that also means a lot, and I appreciate that.
yeah, Leah, it's a good point, and I have a note on my desk at home. Once this, we make this officially kind of a public thing on the website and so on and so forth, I would think it might be appropriate for a letter from perhaps the Board of Selectmen, perhaps the town administrator, maybe signed by both and us as well. I don't know, but I think it would be a good idea.
I'm sorry, letter that does what?
Just thanks them for
Okay.
choosing Rutland and
Yeah.
welcomes them to town, that kind of thing.
Mike,
But basically, the only one I really know in any detail is me. From the standpoint of communicating. I think it would be nice if.
I remember, just to point out, in our last meeting where we finally kind of put the edges of the deal together with the actual owner of the company, who was a significant investor, I said to him, he's in Florida, I said to him when he comes here, I'd like to meet with him and go out for breakfast with him and talk to him to develop that relationship, because he is investing a lot of money into our community. So I'm hoping it, and he assured me when he comes to town, we're gonna have that meeting, and I'm sure I'll invite Mike, and because we wanna build that as a long-term relationship for the town, and it would be in our interest to do that. And I think we pretty let him know we're excited about him coming at that last meeting, and we can continue that through a letter.
Good idea.
Mike, the only other thing is, since this is entered into the record, can we, and I know it's not on our agenda, but can we talk about this in the future meeting? See if there's anything with the RDIC?
Yes, I'm perfectly
I don't wanna
willing to
talk
talk
about it
about
now.
that. No, all I'm gonna say is, my opinion of the Woosocks issue
Yep.
is that it was taken over by town administrator, selectmen.
That's all I wanted to know.
They had meetings,
Okay,
so
I'm
on and
good.
so forth. So
That's all I wanted to know, is if it's being handled by the town planner that's in charge of economic development, I'm good with that.
Yep.
Okay, good enough, that's what I wanted to know.
I'll be happy to discuss that with you too.
No, I wanna make sure that that somebody's taking care of it.
Being discussed.
Perfect, good enough, that's all I needed.
anything else, anybody? And I just want to say this about that whole Woosocks and Friends, as continuation with it. I am hiding nothing about how that was handled. So if you folks want to discuss that at another meeting, I'm more than happy to do it. I didn't think it was appropriate to continue here now, but I don't want you to think I'm stifling that conversation altogether. If we as a group want to discuss in further detail how that happened, just speak and we'll put it on the agenda.
I just wanna know that somebody's got it, Mike, and
We got it.
there's a potential, talk with Dave if I need to too, so I'm good with that.
I even have a witness in my conversation.
I,
So, did I hear a motion to adjourn?
Michelle made it, and I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Just to come and to thank everybody for the work you've done. While you can give credit a lot to the project team and negotiating team, it's your support that made it happen, so we appreciate your efforts on this whole project.
Thank you.
Aye, thank you.
Aye. 6:19.